Okay, now I'm going to demonstrate how to build just a very simple search and filtering function so that we can basically filter our results by a keyword. All right, let's dive in. The first thing I'd like you to do is go open up your table job property editor. Okay, once you've done that, we have a data source, search for jobs. Now we're going to add some new constraints here. The first one being that the company needs to equal the current page company. This is important. If we don't stipulate this, Bubble will go and search all of the jobs. Let's pretend that there are 100,000 jobs on this jobs board and bring them all back to the page. The page will probably crash. In fact, I'm almost certain it will. So this is a server-side filter option. So when we make the request, Bubble's only going to bring back any job associated with Orbit, Hannah's company. And then the second constraint is we're going to say, choose this any field option down here. Any field. Okay, and just follow with me for a second. Type the word get, because we're going to get this search option from the URL. So get data from page URL. I'm going to call this parameter name query. Just a creative choice again. Could be called search. And that's expression. Any field contains the query from the page URL. Now I'm also going to, so as is, let me just show you on the front end what it looks like. If I refresh the page, I'm getting nothing back here. Nothing. And that is because we need to check the box for ignore empty constraints, because what this does, it ignores this constraint when there is no value. And currently there is no value. We haven't set up the logic for this particular parameter just yet. So I'm going to check this. So by default, when a person lands on their dashboard, they will see all of the results because there is no query constraint value. There we go. Now check this out. In the URL, I'm going to type and or ampersand, then the word query equals, and then I'm going to type in developer. Check it out, 2 results. Okay, so we know that when query in the URL has a value, it's going to be filtering this table. And if I remove the word developer, we get all of our results back. All right, let's crack on with this. So what we need is a little button. Let's say search. This is going to be, say, a secondary button. And on the layout tab, I'm going to say uncheck fixed width, remove min width, and fit width content. And then I'm going to group the input with the search so we can group them in a row container. And while I'm at it, I'm going to add some gap spacing, 12. I'm going to rename this to group search. And I'm going to remove the min height. Fantastic. Okay. So this is what we need to do. So to get the keyword that the person searches for into the URL parameter query, we need to run a workflow for that. So we're going to add a workflow on the search button. We're going to go to navigation, go to page. Now we're going to the same page, remember? We're just changing the parameters. We have page data, so the Bubble is now saying, please make sure to hook up the page data again, which is the current page company. This is important. We first need to send current page parameters. Check that. Because we already have question mark v equals job posts. So we want to retain that. So we're going to send that as well. But now we're going to send more parameters. We're going to add a parameter called query. That's the key. And the value is coming from that input filter. Input job filters value. Okay. Let's try it. Let's try search for bubble. Perfect. There we go. And if I delete it, hit return, and it comes back. So why don't we actually, on this button, when there is a value in here, such as engineer, why don't we then change the function of this button to clear? So a person can search at this button and then also just clear this and put out. And also change the query at the top. Okay, so we're going to split this search button, the workflow. We're going to say only when get query is empty. So that means we're searching for the first time. Okay, let's make this green. Now we're going to copy and paste this event. Let's change it to orange and change the last part of the expression to is not empty. Okay, when that happens, we go to page and we're going to, this time I'm going to uncheck send current parameters, and I'm just going to change this to v equals job posts. And that takes us back to the original state of this particular URL structure. Okay, another thing we need to do is apply a condition to this button so we can change the text. So on the conditional tab, we're going to say, when you get data from page URL, which is query, is not empty, that's when the text is going to read clear. Okay, let's try this. So currently you have query equals engineer, and if I go ahead and clear that, back to its original state. Let's try one more. Actually hit return on my keyboard at that point. That also worked. And then clear. Okay, I just want to look at this design down here quickly. All right, let's remove the set fixed number of cells. Just uncheck that. That will just grow as much as it needs to. We're not going to have time to cover pagination in this course, but check out the Bubble forum, check out YouTube. There are many, many courses and lessons, and there's lots of help around pagination in tables. Then on the Layout tab on Table Jobs, I'm just going to remove them in height as well. What we need to do, guys, is sort out this 12 results. This can now be dynamic. So I'm going to take the 12, and highlight the 12. I'm going to insert dynamic data. Dynamic data is coming from the tables, table jobs, list of jobs, count. And then I'm going to add the canvas placeholder back in. Okay, but what about if there are no results? If there are no results? Let's test the UX here. Let's say something like a different company, like Figma. Well, I spelled that incorrectly. I'm going to search that again. Okay, but anyway, there are no results, okay? And we're displaying 0 results. We've still got the column headers here. But why don't we just add just something else here, just like a little group to say, no results have been found, please try search again. So let's go grab a group for this, please. Grab a group, draw beneath the table. Let's say this is no data, otherwise known as a null state. We're going to have a card large here. On the layout tab, let's set this to about 250. And we're going to drop in some text next. Inside, we're going to say no jobs found for this search query. Looking good. Let's center align that text. On the layout tab, we're going to remove them in width and them in height. Okay, and then back in this group, let's vertically align it in the container. Why don't we add an icon? Grab a material icon, drop it inside. If I type in work, should find a briefcase with an outline icon. There it is there. Charcoal color, no roundness, and 24 by 24. All right, we want to highlight these two, put them in a group together, holding shift and then column container, group content. Let's add some gap spacing of 12. And then grab this icon and just center align it. I'm going to change it from job to jobs, plural. And on the height, I'm just going to change this a little bit again. Let's make this 180. Yeah, that's better. All right, one more test and then we can take a break. All right, so it's currently viewable. So what we need to do is uncheck on the layout tab on group no data, uncheck visible on page load, check collapse on hidden to remove that vertical height. When do we bring it back? When the result of the table basically equals 0. So when table, I'm going to scroll down and find table jobs. When it's list of jobs, count, let's do a smaller than 1. Many ways you can write this. You can say it's equal to 0. Then this element is visible. That's when you bring it back. This sign is the wrong way around. There you go. When the table's list of jobs count is smaller than 1. Going to refresh again. So we can't see it at the moment. Let's try Figma again. Nice and quick as well. You can also set a conditional to hide this header column if you'd like. I don't really mind it. The last thing we need to do is just clear out the search term Figma from this input when the clear button is clicked. So I'm going to go back to the search button in the editor, choose edit workflows. And on this orange event, we are going to add another step. I'm going to type in reset so I can bring up reset group or pop-up. And we're just simply going to point it to the parent group, holding both the parent group to the input in the button, which is called group search. I'm going to move that to step 1 because the final step in this workflow needs to be go to page. Let's try it. Okay, done the search. Now when I hit the clear button, Figma has been removed from the input. All right, folks, cleaning up, looking good, looking nice and snappy as well. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next one.